welcome back to another video. So we're doing another Q&A today. Similar kind of topics to what we talked about last time. So things like training, physique, mindset, mental health and discipline, lifestyle and identity, and even some PED questions possibly this time around as well. So I want to continue doing this just as we have been. I hope you're liking this style of content as well. It's a little bit more raw, a little bit more personal with myself. You get to learn a little bit more about me, what I do, my take on certain things, and hopefully you guys learn something as well. So I think it'll be pretty informative. But yeah, I guess without wasting any more time, we'll just get into the first question. So the first question that we have here is, does mind-muscle connection actually matter, or is it just bro science? And this is a bit of a controversial one for some people, but in my opinion, and I think I have a pretty strong back-end experience of 10 years or so, mind-muscle connection is extremely important. So when we're training, we need to understand what muscle we're actually using in that desired movement. So obviously chest press, incline, flat, decline, whatever it may be, flies. We want to make sure that we're contracting the chest as the most primary mover, the most primary muscle group that we're training. We will involve our triceps and our shoulders. There's no doubt about it. And there's no way around it. It's how our anatomy works. My clients the other day asked me a question. He was like, he's trying to take his shoulders completely out of his chest press, and he's just struggling to do so. And I said to him, there's no way you can't get your shoulders out of the chest press. Like, it just doesn't work like that. It helps with this movement, it helps with this movement, it helps with our flies. So anything that our upper body is involved in, our shoulder will be involved in. So you can't completely get rid of it from the movement. But what you want to be focusing on is making sure that most of the blood is traveling to the chest. Is your chest getting a really good pump? If we're doing triceps, are your triceps getting a really good pump? And this is where people ask as well, does pump really matter? Well, yes, because it comes down to the mind-muscle connection as well. And when there's blood and when there's pump in that muscle, that means there's nutrients going to be flowing to that muscle, assuming that we obviously have our diet in check and everything like that too. So mind-muscle connection definitely does matter, and I'm speaking from my own experience. I had lagging legs, I had lagging back. I was 60 kilograms wet when I started, and you guys know what I looked like. So first and foremost thing that I focused on when I entered the gym, for the most part, was mind-muscle connection. There were some body parts like my back which I struggled to connect with at the beginning, and I find that's a pretty common theme for most people getting into training, and even for experienced lifters, to be honest. People that have been training for 5-10 years, a lot of them have lagging backs. It's because they still are pulling a lot with their biceps, and they're focusing too much on the weight as opposed to the contraction of the actual muscle. So yes, mind-muscle connection, TLDR, it does matter, 100%. Second question is, how do you balance bodybuilding with work, relationships, and real life? It's a good one. People, when they look at bodybuilding, they think that it's one, it's its own separate thing. But you have to realize that bodybuilding is a lifestyle. So it encompasses your training, of course. So I guess that's the most time that will be taken up in your week. But you have to enjoy training to want to be a bodybuilder anyway. But when it comes to the nutrition and the lifestyle of it and work and everything like that, well, obviously now that I do online coaching primarily and some face-to-face as well. Bodybuilding is a lifestyle. So everything that I do, it works alongside bodybuilding. My training, like I said, takes up the biggest portion of my week. 2 hours I allocate to it. That's a little bit more for travel there and back as well. So that needs to be taken into account. But at least an hour to an hour and a half in the gym actually training. And then prepping on the weekend is about, let's say 2-3 hours max for a whole week's worth of food, which is not too bad. It needs to work within your lifestyle. It is a lifestyle. So the only thing that changes is really I'm going out, to an event, and I bring my meals with me as opposed to eating out all the time. I'm a kind of like a 90-10 kind of guy. I still believe you can get the physique that I have because I have done it, and I'm a testament to it, with a 90-10 approach. So 90% strict, and once again, it's not tough because I built this lifestyle over time. I wasn't 90-10 from the get-go. I was probably a bit more 80-20. But once I started really locking in and I started being more 90-10, 95-5, that's when things really started to change. And I know a lot of you probably don't want the same size that I have, which is completely fair, because that will take up a lot more of your life when it comes to the nutrition side of things, I won't lie. But to get a good physique, It's not that tough, man. It's not that tough at all. It's just rinsing and repeating every day. And then you have your phases, your cutting, your growing, your health phases, all in between. It's timed throughout the year depending on how your progress goes. So those are the only things that really change, and for the most part, it works perfectly. I love this lifestyle, and so I'll never do anything else but this kind of lifestyle. It's taught me a lot about myself, and you've seen a lot of my videos, and what we'll probably talk about today is the mental changes that it gave me from the lifestyle and virtues and characteristics that I built whilst doing this. So how do you deal with self-hatred when you look in the mirror? This is something I have dealt with for a very long time in the past. Now I'm quite content with it. I've become comfortable with myself. How I tell my clients, or how I tell people to approach this problem, a lot of the time, their self-hatred comes from comparisons with others. Social media, Instagram, all that stuff really fuels a negative mindset, and it doesn't do any good. You know, besides if you have a business, that's the only time I'd recommend having social media, to be honest. Or, you know, at least if you could unfollow people that you compare yourself to, people who, you know, make you feel about yourself. You need to stop comparing yourself to other people is the essence of this question, because you're the only one running your race. No one else started in your shoes. No one else started at the position that you were in. When you're running your race, it's on your terms. So all that matters is the effort that you put in every day, the consistency that you apply over a period of time, and essentially just doing the work. So if you do what's required of you and you're doing everything, you know, pretty much to a T, at least, you know, 100% of the time, I always tell people 90%, 100% of the time, or 80% at the very least, 100% of the time. Because at least that way, you know you're being consistent. You're like an 8 out of 10, pretty much every day. You will get to where you want to get to. It may take a little bit longer than if you were 100% of the time, but the rate of burnout will be a lot lower if you're able to find something consistent. So you need to stop comparing yourself to other people. And I did this a lot, you know, because I still see people around my age or a little bit younger than me that got into bodybuilding earlier than me. And you need to realize these things, is that they have a bit of a head start. And so even last year, I would compare myself to other people and those that were around me. It made me feel like whether it was in business, whether it was the, you know, bodybuilding realm, whatever it may have been. I see people going overseas, Europe, this, that, and the other. But I don't know realistically how they started. I don't know whose money they're using to travel. You know, mummy and daddy coming to the rescue. I never had that. So I needed to learn to stop comparing myself to other people and just worry about my own race. And so if you're in this same boat, you need to do the exact same thing. It doesn't matter where you are right now. What matters is how far you've come from when you began. So keep that in mind. What's the biggest mistake guys make when they hop on their first cycle? That's a good question. There's so many. It's hard to just pick one. But if I'm going to pick one or maybe two here that I can probably answer, it will be that they think that steroids are going to make them big off the bat without the work involved. And what that will do is just make you a fat piece of You don't rely on it for that. Your nutrition has to be in place and your training has to be in place, and it has to be good. It has to be up to par. Otherwise, you're never going to progress regardless. Another thing would be as well is a lot of people just take AIs for no reason whatsoever, and they don't even know if they need an AI or not. Estrogen is so vital when it comes to actually, you know, growing muscle. It creates an anabolic environment. We need estrogen in our system. If we crush that completely, we won't grow. We will look shit. Our lipids will be our organs will be fucked. It's cardioprotective as well. So when you're crushing it, you just up everything. So don't use an AI unless you need one. And, you know, if you don't know if you need one, you should probably get a coach. Try to find someone, you know, that's good. And it's hard to discern sometimes, but you want to find someone who at least knows or sounds like they know what they're talking about, especially if you have no idea at all. But you don't need an AI for the most part until you start to develop some, you know, gyno issues, blood pressure problems, things like that. So I can't give you way too much info because it'll confuse a whole heap of people because everyone's a little bit different. but that's the best way I'd kind of explain it. Would you recommend PEDs to someone who hasn't built a natural base yet? Absolutely not. So like I just mentioned, if you take steroids, you take PEDs, and you don't have a base there when it comes to your nutrition and your training, you're gonna look like a fat slob. You will get strong, yes. You probably will put on a little bit of muscle, yes. But if you're doing it for the appearance. And if your nutrition isn't up to par, your appearance will be off anyway, and you'll look like absolute dog shit. So, yeah, don't do that. Get a base in place first. I've had boys come to me and they've said off the bat, they have never trained before, and they say, oh, I want to take gear, I want to take SARMs. First of all, side note, SARMs are horrendous for you, so never do that, please. Second of all, I always say to them, look, bro, if you can give me at least 6 months to 1 year locked in, for the most part, 80-20 at the very least, then I'll allow you to do it, all right? But you need to show me that you can be consistent with your food and your training for the most part. Once you can do that, and if you're gonna do it regardless, of course, come to me, go to find another coach, do it as safely as possible, yes. But those are the prerequisites, I would say, for anyone gonna go using PEDs. And if those things are off, you're playing fire, dude. All right, I think it's enough questions for today. Like I said, I want to do at least one of these per week. So I do have a whole host of questions on here. If you do have any questions that you want me to get to, please leave them down in the comments section or send me a DM. I want to make sure that, I can get to everyone's questions and teach you guys as much as I can. If there's anything else that you want, let me know down in the comments, and I'll speak to you guys later.